welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into something called perfectionist's paralysis. If you've ever just sat there staring at a blank screen, feeling completely stuck and literally unable to take that very first step, well, you are in the right place. We're going to uncover exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how you can completely flip that perceived weakness into your absolute greatest strength.
It's an incredibly frustrating feeling, isn't it? I mean, you know exactly what you need to do, the steps are crystal clear in your head, the deadlines are looming right over you, and yet your hands just won't move. Suddenly, organizing your sock drawer feels like the most urgent priority in the world. You just sit there, frozen. And if you're like most of us when this happens, you're probably carrying around a massively heavy burden of guilt, telling yourself you just lack discipline.
Okay, let's just get right into the core of this because our source material offers a massive paradigm shift here. Listen to me. You aren't lazy. Actually, scratch that, you aren't lacking motivation at all. What's genuinely happening is that you are subconsciously protecting yourself from an unstoppable, incredibly intense drive. Deep down, your brain knows that once you actually engage with a task, your internal motor is simply not going to let you quit. So, you subconsciously hit the brakes before you even cross the starting line.
Section 1. The myth of doing nothing.
Let's break down why doing absolutely nothing is, ironically, a hidden, extreme form of perfectionism. Usually when society pictures a perfectionist, we think of the constant reviser, the person agonizingly pushing forward, but constantly stopping to tweak every single tiny detail. But you might actually be the other type, the non-starter. You avoid the starting line altogether because you know for a fact you won't be able to stop once you begin. Both of these behaviors stem from the exact same intense desire for flawlessness. They just manifest in completely opposite ways.
Moving on to Section 2, fearing the need to revise.
To really understand this paralysis, we have to look under the hood at what you're genuinely terrified of. And it turns out, it's not the work itself. It's the fear of revision. For you, revising isn't just a casual, quick edit. It feels like moving backward. It feels like taking a sledgehammer to a house you've painstakingly built. Being forced to fix something completely shatters your illusion of safety. For a severe perfectionist, the mere idea of creating something flawed and then having to deconstruct it is so incredibly painful that it just feels vastly safer to never touch the project in the first place.
So it all really boils down to this psychological concept, cognitive dissonance. Sounds fancy, but it's basically that intense, awful mental discomfort you feel when your messy, imperfect reality completely fails to match up with that perfect, flawless ideal you have in your head. Now, some people can casually tinker with a messy draft until it looks better. But for you, when the reality of your work doesn't instantly match your flawless vision, the discomfort is so overwhelming that just doing nothing becomes the absolute easiest escape route.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 0 or 100 mindset. This intense drive to avoid that cognitive dissonance forces your brain into a super rigid framework. Notice how all those middle ground options just completely vanish from your mind. Thoughts like, hey, I'll just try a little bit, or I'll just stop halfway and pick it up later. Nope, those are entirely erased from your playbook. For you, it's either 0% or 100%, with absolutely no in-between. And when those are literally your only two options, every tiny, mundane task suddenly morphs into this massive, totally intimidating commitment. But look, it's so incredibly important to realize you weren't born with this paralysis. It usually starts way back with well-meaning advice. A teacher saying, hey, don't work so hard, or a parent telling you to just relax. Over time, you internalized your relentless laser focus as a character flaw. You just wanted to fit in, so you hid and suppressed your natural drive. And unfortunately, putting a lid on all that energy is exactly what led you to complete inaction.
Section 4, turning perfectionism into talent.
We are going to conceptually flip the script right here. Your inability to stop, it's not a burden at all. It's this massive, tightly coiled energy. It's literally a rare talent for complete follow-through that most people can only dream of having. You haven't lost your power, my friends. You've just been keeping it locked away in the basement. So how do we unlock it? You have to fundamentally change the way you talk to yourself. First things first, ignore those past negative evaluations and stop calling yourself lazy. Right now, just ban that word from your vocabulary. You have to start verbally acknowledging your extreme focus as a legitimate strength. And to get that momentum going, start recording your small wins. Documenting those tiny moments of progress actually rebuilds your confidence and proves to your brain that yes, you can move forward safely.
And finally,
Section 5. Building your complementary team.
Now, there is a bit of a catch here. Having a powerful, high-performance engine doesn't mean you have to steer the whole ship totally by yourself. Your intense drive is absolutely incredible when it's applied to pushing a major project across the finish line. But if you apply that same relentless perfectionist energy to every single minor detail completely alone, you're going to burn out fast. You will inevitably hit a hard limit.
The real secret to solving this whole puzzle is sharing your nature. By finding people who complement your extreme focus, you can finally unleash that drive without the terror of getting bogged down. You need the planner to map out the journey so you don't get paralyzed at step 1. You need the detail-oriented person to handle those minor, messy little fixes that trigger your fear of revision. And you definitely need the listener to help you process things when that cognitive dissonance inevitably creeps in.
So, knowing that your paralysis is actually just a high-performance engine waiting for the right track and the right crew, literally everything changes. You aren't lazy, you are loaded with untamed potential. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to carry into the rest of your day. Now that you know your perfectionism is actually a rare talent, what will you finally choose to start?